like 2 minutes for Marianne just put on like hands
Okay.
and stuff. So we,
All right.
I mean, we have 5 minutes till 30.
Yeah, I just wanted to get everybody.
Yeah.
Basically, I want to let you know that we're going to have 3 folks speak, but we also, don't worry about it, I'll get it. We also have a lot of other experts in the audience. Practically everybody who's here who's not press is really an expert on coal ash. So I encourage you to talk to some of these other folks, and I want to point a couple of them out. Sam Perkins, I already mentioned, he's Catawba Riverkeeper. We also have Frank Holloman, who's representing Catawba Riverkeeper as well as various other groups. Frank's from the Southern Environmental Law Center. And let me just say, the reason we're here is Catawba River has way more than its fair share of coal ash ponds. This is a real problem. They're affecting the drinking water for millions of people. This lake alone provides drinking water to 860,000 people. So this is a critical issue, and I'm going to let the others talk about it. Our first speaker is going to be Robert F. Kennedy, Jr.
Thank you. Thanks, Jeff. We just did a press conference about how coal plants across the country for the past 40 years have evaded laws that apply to every other American that require industries and individuals to remove toxics before they dump anything into a publicly owned waterway. And many regulators didn't even understand that this was going on. But half of the toxics that are discharged today into America's waterways are being discharged by coal-burning power plants, who are 70% of them are completely unregulated. And the groups that you see represented here today just published a report, which we released today, and we had a national press conference just before we came over here that shows the gravity of that problem. Half the toxics that are dumped into America's waterways every year are coming from coal-burning power plants, and these include some of the most toxic elements known to man: mercury, selenium, lead, cadmium, and many other very potent carcinogens, endocrine disruptors, and neurotoxins. We filed the 60-day notices, and in that 60-day period, Diener came in, filed their own suits, and now has proposed a sweetheart deal that will allow these plants to pollute essentially forever. It requires them to study the pollution, but not to clean it up, and gives them a $90,000 fine, when in reality their exposure in this case goes into the 10s, 20s, 30s, and 40 millions of dollars. That's what the penalty exposure liability is for what they've been doing, which is to discharge toxic waste every single day into the water supply of nearly 1 million people. And this is a crime. An environmental crime is real crime.
I'm here in part to pay my respects to Waterkeeper for having done such great work in this state to try to hold these companies accountable for all the coal ash and scrubber sludge that they're putting into your water. But I'm also here to let you know that you're not alone. This is a national problem. Some of the water bodies that take this waste are not all that big. You know, you drop that much arsenic or selenium into a wetland or a small creek, a feeder creek, you've ruined it. You basically turned it into a drainage ditch for your waste. It's no longer a stream or a river, and that's what's been happening. We tried to look at what the states had done in EPA's absence. What have they done to control this problem? We found that for the deadliest pollutants, again, arsenic, cadmium, and lead, only 30% of the plants that we looked at had a limit on even one of those 6 very toxic pollutants. So that is 70% of the coal-fired power plants we looked at can dump at will.
You may be asking yourself, in the 21st century, how is this possible? Well, as is often the case when it comes to clean air and clean water protections, unfortunately the coal industry enjoys loopholes that no other industry enjoys. Finally, the EPA is acting to close this loophole. They have proposed these long overdue standards that include a range of options for treating this water. Some of them are weak, and they would essentially enshrine the status quo. and they would allow billions of pounds of this pollution to keep going into our water every year. But there is a strong action that actually would get this toxic pollution out of our water, and it would not be very expensive to do it. It's using technology that's on the shelf that's in use at many coal plants today. So that's why we're here. We're here because EPA is under huge political pressure to issue the weak standard. Today we are releasing a report that makes the case for strong standards that will protect our families because so many people are unknowingly being exposed to this pollution. Here on this site where we are standing today, and in places like this across America, it's very clear that our health and the health of our families is on the line.
And you'll get out of this soon.
What happened in Pennsylvania is they dammed up the creeks. Basically, they took them, filled the bowl, 1,300-acre bowl with ash, and then turned the creeks below the dams and below the impoundments into channels for their discharge, into their own drainage ditches. And we're struggling to kind of get our heads around that. Those are waters that belong to the people, as Bobby said before. You don't own creeks and streams. You can't, we don't think, you can't just fill them full of ash and turn what used to be a free-flowing creek into your own private discharge channel. And that's certainly what's happening in Pennsylvania, and that looks like that's what's happening here.
Thank you all very much.
This is basically one of the seeps coming out of one of these coal ash impoundments associated with the River Bend plant, Duke Energy, and it's going right into the Catawba River, which is then right upstream from the drinking water intake for the city of Charlotte. So you've got all sorts of toxic chemicals like mercury, lead, arsenic, going from here into the Catawba and right up the city of Charlotte's drinking water supply.
The reddish orange is iron, I mean, the foam. We saw that though at Bruce Mansfield. It was very foamy and more of a sulfur. Some people who were doing the sampling.
Is this a park, this land?
That is a good question. We know we're below the high tide mark, and so we're not trespassing. That was my first question. And we're okay there. It would be, if it's part of the lake, I would assume public.
Is this not public land?
The high water mark's a ways back.
This is private property.
The past 648 is private property.
This is Duke Energy property. We do have a FERC boundary, but I'm going to have to ask you folks to leave.
We're going, thank you.
Thank you, though. I already spoke to Donna.
Hey, Rody.
Thank you. Yeah.
Sir, why do we have to leave here? I'm sorry.
This is private property.
Hey guys, we're just gonna.
So who's this owned by? This is private property.
Are you recording me?
Not at the moment. I don't have a camera. Well, there's my camera there, but is there?
Donna said you guys are leaving.
Okay.
Thank you, though.
Do you mind? Who? So this is private property controlled by who?
It's actually in the floodplain of Mountain Island Lake, but we're gonna do as they ask.
That's. Oh no, absolutely. We have
Thank
to go.
you.
I'm just curious, sir. So this property though is controlled by who?
By Duke Energy, but thank you, though.
So this stream is part of their responsibility then? Is that?
You know what? You're going to have to ask the media line. You know Aaron Colbert? Or,
Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
The settlement that just passed.
Proposed settlement.
Proposed settlement, yes.
Thankfully, that settlement.
Consent.
Yes. Thankfully, it has not passed yet.
Okay.
And so, what it would do though is ask Duke for a lot of information that should have come at the front end of negotiations. The end product is a $39,000 fine, I believe is the current amount, and it would ask Duke to create a report, a study, on its coal ash pollution. And I am shocked that Diener would ask that as the final product. And in a settlement negotiation, I would have wanted all that information on the front end before I decided to settle with the utility regarding a contamination site on the drinking water reservoir for 860,000 people. But it asks for a study. What we need is not a settlement that proposes a study. We need a settlement that stops the pollution, because it is abundantly clear you have multiple discharges that are not part of their permit, and that's a problem first and foremost. And furthermore, they are in violation of the groundwater standards set by North Carolina. So you have a quality problem and you have a system problem.